Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. We're, God willing, going to finish today what we began at the beginning of the week, and that is this beautiful speech of the Lubavitcher Rebbe that he gave in 1991 about the land of Israel and the importance of the land of Israel and the difficulty in deciding to live in the land of Israel. And I wrote down a story yesterday that I wanted to tell, and I so I wouldn't forget it. Then I forgot where I put the paper. 1 second. All right, what are you going to do? Hopefully I'll remember it before the end of the class. Okay. All right, I don't know. Okay. I thought. Sweeter and honey. All right, I did that already. All right. But now, first of all, let's start the day off by giving charity, tzedakah. Here we go. Tzedakah saves from all bad things, and it brings all good things. Charity. Here we go. Ready? Charity. But now, you have to be charitable. Very important to be open. So the Rebbe is pointing out that that's basically the whole point of the Torah, is to be charitable. This can only be done in the land of Israel because it's a physical place, and charity has to be done. You have to do something. What do you do with this story? Okay, what are you going to do? I had this brainstorm idea. Well, I got to write the story down so I don't forget tomorrow. And now I'm spending more time looking for the paper that I wrote to tell me to remember that. Okay. So, what's the point? The point is to go to the land of Israel. So the land of Israel is, in a way, the opposite of Judaism. Opposite. And it's the opposite of normal human understanding. You got this beautiful religion, Judaism. God creates the world, and God gives us the Torah, and in which is all the secrets of creation and the secrets of mankind. What do you have to go and plow and dig wells for? They were in the desert. They were eating bread from heaven. The bread, it says, it was pure. Did you know that it says that the manna did not have any waste? That the 40 years they did not have to go into the bathroom. 40 years. It says that because they did take with them, and they bought also from the people that were around, the nations that were around, they brought animals and things to eat, other things to eat. So that supplemented the man that they ate. But generally speaking, the man had no waste in it. So in a way, it was perfect. That they also complained about that they didn't have any waste in it. But anyway, they were in perfect situation, and they could learn the Torah, and they could be spiritual, and that's what religion is all about. It was like heaven on earth. Here they were. And God said, no, I want you to go into the land of Israel, and over there, there's big giants over there, and there's you're gonna have to work hard, you're gonna have to work on the land, but you're gonna have a big blessing in whatever you do. Whatever you do, you're gonna have a big blessing. And the people said, I don't understand. We got a blessing over here without doing anything. Why should we go? It's like saying, would you rather have $1 million or would you rather work for $1 million? Would you rather have a gift or would you work for it? So I'd rather work. That's nuts. Who would want to do that? Who would want to work for the same thing you're getting? So Moses says, no, you don't understand. And the Caliph said, they don't understand. The land of Israel is very, very good. Very, very good. We learned about that in the Kuti Torah also. Okay, so here we're not talking about that. We're not talking about how good the land of Israel is. The good land of Israel, it says in the Torah that the land of Israel is good. God promised them the land of Israel. Here the Rebbe is trying to explain how good the scouts were. The scouts were the shame of the Jewish people. The shame, and it's advertised. Their names are advertised in the Torah. It's a very bad thing in Judaism to say bad things about people unnecessarily. If there's a person that's a crook or something, and he's a scam artist, so you can go and tell people don't loan money to him. A person is violent, you can say don't let him be a babysitter for your children. A woman that screams and yells or something like that, you can tell before she gets married that the person, listen, you should know that she has a problem with her temper. If it's necessary, if it's practical and necessary, then you can say negative things about people. But except for that, you're not supposed to. It's forbidden. In fact, it's one of the biggest sins. One of the biggest sins of Judaism is called Lashon Hara. In fact, that's what the spies did over here. The spies came and they said bad things about Israel. That's why they got punished. They said they got a terrible punishment. Because they said, but you're not supposed to say bad things. Here, the Torah itself is advertising to us 3,300 years later the names of each one of these, failed scouts. Moses sent them personally to do a job, and they did exactly the opposite. It's not that they just, went to sleep in the broom closet or something like that, so that they wouldn't have to do work. They came back and they did exactly the opposite. And what are their names advertised for generations and generations? Nobody even knows who these people were, who their families were, and their names are advertised, right? It's quite amazing, isn't it? Here, look, here, I'll give you a list. Listen to this. It's not saying Lashon Hara. We read it. You read it once. Here we go. Ready? Here, these are the chants. Ready? It says like this. These are the names: Shamua ben Zakor, Shafet ben Chori, Kalev ben Yefuna. He came out pretty good. That was from Yehuda. Kalev ben Yefuna. Yisachar was Yigal ben Yosef. Ephraim, Hoshea ben Nun. He also was good. So that was 2 of the 12 came out good. Here we go. A list of bad ones, bad apples. Ben Palti ben Rafu, Zavul, Gadiel ben Sodi, Gadi ben Susi, Gadiel ben Sodi, Gadi ben Susi. But you ever meet these people? Like, don't trust them. Don't send them out. But if these people died 3,000 years ago, what do we have to tell the names for advertising? Okay, so the Rebbe says the fact of the matter is a lot of good things came from their failure. A lot of good things from their failed mission. Failed mission. Okay, number one, they were the first Jews from the Jewish people to enter the land of Israel. So they opened up the door, they broke the ice. Number two, they came back with a good report about the fruits and the land and the how do you say, the air over there, the atmosphere in the land of Israel. It's a pure place. It's healthy place. Not only that, says the Rebbe, they also went together. Their unity, they were unified. They didn't all split up and each one went to his own area that's relevant to his tribe. No, they all went together. That's a thing of unity. Says the Rebbe, and and this was manifested 40 years later when Joshua sent in his 2 spies. All the good things, the bad things we know about, but the good things that Moses accomplished by sending these scouts. The Rebbe has a speech. I wanted to learn that today, but I don't even know if we'll finish this. But the Rebbe has a speech. Why was it that Moses made such a mistake? How could he make such a mistake? And why did God tell him, it's up to you? Shalach lacha, you can do it. Why didn't God just say, don't send, just tell the people to go in? Why not? My question always was, the Jewish people never went anywhere on their own. They followed this clouds that surrounded them and that led them. So God could have just taken the clouds and just put them into the land of Israel. They would have had to go. Why didn't God force them? So there's another speech. It's in volume 23, I think, of the Rebbe's speeches. And it says over there that the main thing of going to the land of Israel was free choice. That's the essence of man, free choice. And now they're entering into the land of Israel. God wants them to have free choice. Free choice means that you can make the wrong choice also. Free choice, you're free to choose wrong if you want. And therefore he said to Moses, okay, now we're starting a new thing. Make use of your free choice. You choose, you send them in. And the same thing with the scouts that went in. God gave them free choice. Either they could choose good or bad. God wanted them to use free choice. He wanted them to choose the right thing, but he didn't want to take their free choice from them. And therefore, when they made the wrong choice, okay, it was disappointing. But on the other hand, they were new at it. They never had made any free choices at all. The Jewish people in the desert never chose anything for themselves. Everything they were led and they were fed and they were given to drink and the battles were fought for them. No, for the first time they made a mistake, right? It's like taking the training wheels off of the child's bicycle. Okay, so he fell down once, twice. He fell down. He skinned his knee. Okay, it was that, but that doesn't mean that you have to put the wheels back on. You have to learn. So that's another thing that they did. Another thing that they accomplished was they used their free will. They learned from experience. How to say they played it by ear, but the free will is essential to Judaism. You have to do things not because you're told to do it, but because they are right and you feel that they're right. That's the point. You're not just told that they're right. They feel that they're right. And that was one of the reasons for sending in the scouts. God already told them in the Torah that the land of Israel was good, but God wanted them to see it. It had to come down physically in the world so they could see it and make a choice according to their seeing, not just to be told by God and to be told by Moses and just to follow orders. Even though there's a tremendously high and powerful thing by just following orders, right? And in the end, that's what we have to do. But it's our decision that we make to follow orders. That's the point. We decide that we're just going to follow orders. In the end, you can't understand what it says in the Torah, why we should put on tefillin, why we have to keep Shabbos, why we have to, right? Why you have to do this. I was thinking even more about this. It seems that from the Torah, that the essence of Judaism is if you do what God wants, you're not going to get rewarded. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. You're not going to see any reward. If you do what God wants, then it's going to be bad for you. Right? God made the world in such a way. Who is the example? King David. King David was the Moshiach. We're waiting for Moshiach ben David. He did what God wanted, was only bad for him. Moses did what God wanted, his whole life was problems. The Maimonides says all this other examples. Abraham, God put him through 10 tests. You do what God wants, it's not going to go good for you. Now you still want to do it? A convert, before a person converts to Judaism, they say to him that it's not going to be good for you. People are going to hate you. You can't marry who you want. You won't be able to do what you want. Now you can smoke a cigarette on Shabbat. What's the problem? If you become a Jew, you smoke a cigarette on Shabbos, it's the punishment is death. There hasn't been any death penalty for over 2,000 years, but it makes God angry to the degree that, right, if it wasn't for extenuating circumstances, punishment would be death. I mean, between us, even when there was a punishment of death, it was almost never used. It was almost impossible to use. There were so many details in order to kill. Okay, but in any case, it tells you that it makes God mad. And now if you want to light a light on Shabbos or smoke it, nothing happens, right? You want to be a Jew, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be easy. Not going to be good. Okay, in the end, yes, it's true that there's rewards. But if you look in the Torah, 5 books of Moses, it doesn't say anything about going to heaven. It doesn't say that. Okay. So the point is this physical world doing what God wants and getting pleasure from doing what God wants because you made the choice to do it. So it says, now we can understand Alpi Apom over, like we said before, like we just finished saying before. Like we said, not it's necessarily going to be bad, but don't expect that it's going to be good. And if it is not good, that should not surprise you. That should not surprise. Listen, Judaism started off bad. Judaism started off 210 years. The Jewish people were slaves in Egypt for absolutely no reason. They didn't do anything wrong. They didn't have a chance to do anything wrong. They were born in Egypt. 210 years they suffered. Makes no sense. Why? God told Abraham, about 300 years earlier, 400 years earlier, that's what it was going to be. So it has to be there, right? Just because God said it, so everybody has to suffer. So the world itself is a terrible place. The world is a terrible place, and we have to transform the world to be higher than heaven, which meant going into Israel. And that's not easy. That's the whole story over here. Okay, so it says, according to this, we can understand now why sending these scouts of Moses, whether the scouts of Moses or the scouts of Joshua, is stressed refining the world. And mainly this is through the unity of the Jewish people and the Torah. We can explain also this with connecting this to the tzitzit. Now, tzitzit, that's at the end of this week's Torah portion. Tzitzit, the command of the tzitzit, right? You have a garment, you're supposed to put strings on the corner of the garment. Right? It used to be in the time of the temple that they used to have one string was blue, but the Arizal said we don't use it anymore. There's some Jews that do. If they want to, they can. It's not no problem. Chabad doesn't put it, but it's not essential. The blue string is not essential to the tzitzit. However, it is this commandment. Okay, this commandment also hints at this at tzitzit. The tzitzit. How? Back then, I just wanted to say something. I mean, I've said I think too many things, but this now I think that the unity of the Jewish people is really starting to come together. I think you see that the Hamas and these other people, these are like totally evil people. They have no, they've never done anything good. They have no track record of even one good thing that they've done, even for their own people, except fight this imaginary battle against the Zionists, the oppressive Zionists that are oppressing them. And the fact is that's little by little, it's starting to be realized that this is insane because there's like 2 million Arabs that live in Israel, that are citizens of Israel, that don't make any troubles and they get along with everybody. Right? And they're sort of hoping and, somewhere that that the Hamas would just sort of go away. Even though everybody, most of the Arabs support them either because they're just afraid of them, afraid of getting killed, or because they they genuinely do support them. They genuinely would like to see all the Jews killed, but they just can't say it. It doesn't make any difference. Little by little, the insanity of supporting anti-Semitism, little by little, it's starting to be unraveled. It's starting to be revealed. Little by little, that the claims against Judaism are so, spurious. They're so empty. And on the other hand, people believe in them with such fervor. And when finally all the logic falls away, all that's left is just pure hatred with no logic behind it whatsoever. No logic whatsoever behind it. And that little by little is eating away at the lies of the whole world, the whole entire world. Little by little, and it's unifying the Jewish people. I hope. Maybe I'm just imagining this. And in Israel, I know there's a lot of Israelis, old parties that they justify the Arabs and they say, now that they're bombing us, now we feel what the Palestinians have been feeling, and etc. And they also have no proof. They've got no evidence. But they'll claim that they do. But little by little, the lies are falling away. And if nothing else, the hatred of the Jews is waking a lot of Jews up. It's a lot of Jews are waking up. And they're starting even to put on tefillin and keep Shabbos, not because of religion, just because it's, and not even because it's like Jewish, because it's just true. It's just true. Just people are just, little by little, that's what seems to me, and that's what I see in my eyes. So let's go. That's the idea of tzitzit. They're explaining what is this commandment of tzitzit. Even though that it's one of the commandments, but it is equal to all the other commandments. Like it says, you should see it, that the commandment, you should remember all the commandments. Since this commandment, all of the commandments are divided. There's 613 commandments. And each commandment is a commandment for a person to do in the world. Like we said so many times, only Judaism has commandments. Other religions, they have, customs and rituals, things like that. But Judaism has commandments directly from God, exact commandments from God. and they deal with the different times of the day and the different organs of the body, how it's possible. So if each commandment is separate, how can one commandment include all the other commandments? The explanation of tzitzit, how can it come up? So first of all, how does it include all the other commandments? So it says that the word tzitzit is the numerical value of 600. 600. Tzadik yud. So tzadik is 90 and yud is 10. So 2 times tzadik yud, that's, I'm sorry, what did I do wrong? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Tzadik yud, that's 200. And the tuf at the end, that's 400. So it comes out to be 600. So tzitzit is 400. And the strings, right, there's 8 strings and there's 5 knots. So that's 13. So that reminds you of the 613 commandments. So the explanation is that also the commandments, how can one commandment include all the commandments? How can that be? So it means that the true idea of the commandments of the Torah are the wisdom and the will of God. Now God creates you. He creates you right now. He creates me. He creates everything. Why is he creating us? That's the Torah. That's the inner will and the wisdom of God. Therefore, all of the commandments have one point that unites them, and that's God. They all come from God. God and his will and his wisdom are one. So when you're doing a commandment, it's not just a ritual, and it's not just a custom. And it's not a ceremony or a practice or a spiritual, a spiritual ritual, I guess they call it ritual. There's a better word for it. Anyway, what is it? This is the will and the wisdom of your creator that's creating you. The Inyan Zen, this is especially in tzitzit. Like it says, you should see tzitzit and you remember all of your commandments. That by means of seeing this commandment of tzitzit as the number and the gematria, the numerical value, which comes out to 613. Like I just finished saying, tzitzit is 600 and the strings and the knots are another 13. So 613 is ro'im. We can see the unity of all of the details of the commandments. All the commandments are the commandments of God, the commandments of the Torah, the will and the wisdom of God. From tzitzit is drawn down also to all the other commandments. That when you're doing a commandment, you're doing the will of God. So it's like grabbing onto a person, right? It doesn't really make that much difference if you grab onto their finger or if you grab onto their ear or you grab onto their toe, right? You can pull the person from just one. That's the person. That's part of the person. Lo rak mitzad dargat, not just how all of them are divided and separate one to the other. Like a person is also separate. Your eyes are not your ears. Your ears are not your stomach. You're not. But also there's the unity of them, right? It's my ear. It's my stomach. It's my eye. The eye unifies them all. The same thing with the commandments. They're all God's commandments. And they're not just God's commandments that he gave back then in the Bible on Mount Sinai. He's giving it to us right now. This is God's eternal will. I know I've given the example a lot of times. It's like you read an anatomy book. You learn anatomy in high school, and you look and here's the skeleton of man. Look at the skeleton of man. You look at the beginning and say, but this book was written in 1955. Now it's 2000. This is 70 years later. It's different. The skeleton of man is the same skeleton now as it was 1,000 years ago, right? That they find the Piltdown man or what is Cro-Magnon man or something, and he's got toes and he's got a nose and he's got the wrist. The same thing is, right? It's the same thing. The will of God is the infinite will of God. It's eternal. And it is reflected in each and every commandment. But tzitzit really brings this out. You should remember and do all of the commandments. It says about the tzitzit. It's at the end of this week's Torah portion, this paragraph. That doing all of the commandments are in a way that they are the commandments of God. I'm doing it because God says to do it. I go out every day and I put tefillin on people in this sort of public place near Kfar Chabad. And sometimes people say, well, why do you do it? I say, yeah, listen, Jews have been putting on tefillin for 3,300 years nonstop. You know why? And they say, why? I said, they also don't know why. They don't know why. I mean, because God commanded. Who knows what God is? You know what God is? God is creating you. You feel God's creating you. Yeah, that makes any sense. Doing the commandments because God commanded, not because you're going to get a reward or you're going to get nothing understandable. Makes no sense. But it makes some sort of sense to Jews because they've been doing it for 3,000 years, 3,300 years, and they have been getting punished because of it, right? Jews mark themselves different. They put on tefillin, so it's not a good thing to put on tefillin. You think, right? And there's always pops up, groups in Israel that say, let's just stop putting on tefillin. That's going to end the problems, right? End the problems, and it doesn't end the problems, right? It doesn't end the problems. Why? Because Jews are being killed because they have the ability to do the commandments. They have the ability. They're chosen by God. They're chosen by God to improve the world. If a non-Jew does the commandments, it doesn't do anything. They're allowed to do the commandments, by the way. Non-Jews are allowed to. There's certain ones that they're not supposed to do, especially learning Torah and keeping Shabbat. But generally speaking, says the Maimonides says they can do it, but it's not. It's to do it as a charm, as they call it a segula. Also, this is the idea of putting on. I don't advise anybody to do it, but he says that they can. Segam also the service of the individual of each and every one of the tribes. Oh, that's why Moses sent also the 12 tribes to survey the whole land of Israel. That's the end, and the conclusion of this whole sending out the scouts is tzitzit. Tzitzit comes at the end of this Torah portion. Shagam avoda, also the service, the individual service of every single tribe in refining the world should be permeated by unity. All of the 12 went together. Unity of the Jewish people. Shalamayla mitchalkut, which is above division. Like it's stressed that every single one of the leaders of every single tribe, they went together with all the others to see all the other portions of the land of Israel. Also the portions which are not relevant to them. Unity is important, and the unity comes from two different things. Number one, that every Jew is different, but it's like all the limbs of a body are different, and therefore the differences, that's what makes one whole. And number two is that all the Jews are exactly the same. They're all the son of God, every Jew. They're Jews. And that's why anti-Semites, they don't care if you're a big Jew or a tall Jew or a dark Jew or a light Jew or an Italian Jew or a Moroccan Jew or a Russian Jew. They just hate Jews. They just hate Jews. They have absolutely no idea why. A religious Jew, a non-religious, a stupid Jew, a smart Jew, a good Jew, a nice Jew, a kind Jew, an evil Jew. They hate Jews. In the end, the communists hated all the Jews. And then they hated the communist Jews also. They killed them also. According to this is understood also the learning and the teaching from the sending of these scouts to every single Jew. And it's expressed the unity of the Jewish people in our individual service of every single Jew as they are divided one from the other. Every Jew is different one from the other. I think I've said this, who knows how many times, but how ridiculous it is, the claim that the Jews are planning to take over the world. The Jews, as all the Jews could agree on something, right? As the Jews could agree on something to take over the world. How do you say you have two Jews, you have three opinions? Even one Jew can't get along with himself. Every single Jew looks different, is different. Every Jew has a different personality, a different, different approach to life. Every Jew. That's the main essence of a person. L'datcha. That's your, your approach to life. I guess there must be a better word for it. The she'en dat deotem shavos, that the personality of every Jew is different. Tzarichim liyot chadurim. You have to be permeated with one point, which is above all these divisions, like is expressed in loving every Jew and the unity of every Jew. How can you love every Jew? Most difficult thing to do. It's much easier to love a non-Jew than to love a Jew. Much easier. I mean, if the guy doesn't hate you or something, just to get along with a person, talk to a person, right? Jews, you can get along on the outside. There's a joke about that. I'll tell you in a second. Shemitbonen bedato, a person should think in the necessity, the needs of others. and you should help others with what they need, whether spiritually, whether physically. Sometimes all a person needs is just a good word. Good morning. How are you? Or kafisha omrim, but deeper, like it says, you can put it out in speech. Moving your lips is considered to be actually doing a deed. Hello, how are you? Good morning. Hareim akabel mitzvahs, I say you have to receive every morning, accept on yourself the commandment of loving your friend as yourself. And this is especially, the commandment is for the Jews. You're supposed to love everybody, but the commandment goes to the Jews. Now, what does it mean, love? What is love? Love means that you see something good in the other person, or at least you believe that there's something good in the other person. You believe that there's something hidden good inside of the other person. That's what love is, something valuable to you inside of everyone. What could possibly be valuable inside of everyone? So first of all, you can just say, this applies to everyone. They're being created by God. Every human being in the world is being created by God. That's a common factor present in everybody, especially in every Jew. Every Jew is the son of God. Every Jew is the wife of God. Every Jew is a servant of God. Every Jew is the soldier of God. And even more regarding to this division of the Jewish people of Yisachar and Zvulun. Yisachar were those who learned Torah, and Zvulun were the ones who went out and did business. Nosav la'achdut shenasit, by means of this, that also people that sit in the Torah and learn Torah all day, they also have to deal with money. They have to give charity. And also people who work all day and make money, they have to sit down and learn the Torah. Torah is the essence of Judaism. And so they have to, but nevertheless, even though these Jews are different, but they have to have unity in each one of this of Torah and charity. They have to be unified. For instance, charity. Somebody has their microphone open. If you can just, let me just get over here. Nothing personal. Here we go. No, it's not. Okay, it's me. For instance, giving charity. When you give charity, you should give charity for the merit of others. And many Jewish people, the Kam of Yisrael, Yeshnam Ke'elu Shakodesh Baruch Hu Beracham, there are Jews that God gave them a blessing with richness. And some have extraordinary riches. Shenotnim tzedakah, and they can give charity in the merit of all of the Jewish people. I'm giving charity that Moshiach should come. I'm giving charity so that all the Jewish people should unite. I'm giving charity that all the Jewish people should be protected, etc. Prutach has even one coin or 5 coins for every single Jew. Halavai sheyirbu kamonim b'Yisrael. How many Jews are there in the? So in the end, there's not that many Jews in the world. How many Jews are there in the world? 20 million Jews. So a person that has $20 billion, right? It means he's given 1,000th of his money. 20,000 for every single Jew. But Torah, the Shalom, when you learn Torah, also the same thing. You learn Torah in the merit of all of the Jewish people. And to a way, Amiru Talmid Harbe, that you want to increase pupils, you want to teach others. It's a commandment in the Torah, Mitzvot Aseh Shel Torah, Al Kol Chacham, that every person who knows the Torah in Israel should teach others. Each person should teach others. Vishinantam levanecha. It's a commandment in the Torah to teach the Torah to others. And we can add on that this point of unity of the Jewish people, especially in learning Rambam, Maimonides. Now the Rebbe started this thing, this how do you call it, a mitzvah? What do you call a mitzvah? Anyway, a program that every Jew should learn Rambam. Every Jew should learn Rambam. I mean, it's only really a commandment on the men to learn Torah, but nevertheless, every Jew should learn the Rambam. There's 3 ways to do this. You can learn either 3 chapters a day, in which case you finish the whole Maimonides once a year, or you can learn 1 chapter a day, in which case you finish the whole Maimonides in 3 years. Or you can learn, Maimonides also has a book which is called the Book of Commandments. You can learn 1 commandment every day, or about that. Right? And then you also finish once a year because it's much shorter. It's much shorter. In any case, this is a custom that has been spread around, and you learn 3 chapters a day. Okay, what's the thing of the Maimonides? What's the thing of Rambam? Learning Rambam. Rambam, Maimonides. Rambam, by the way, is Rabbi. It's initials. Rabbi Moses ben Maimon, Moshe ben Maimon. He amazingly, it's just really amazing. He was the only Jew in the whole history of Judaism that wrote a book that has all the laws of Judaism in it. All the laws of Judaism. Everything. Of course, he wrote according to his understanding, and his understanding is accepted. But like I say, essential thing in Judaism is to ask questions and also to have arguments. Arguments is very essential to Judaism. To have arguments. The arguments to come to the truth, right? Why do you say that? I think this. I have a proof. You have a proof. Let's discuss it. So there are certain laws that aroused tremendous, discussion and inquiry. But nevertheless, however it is, everybody accepts. But if you do exactly what Maimonides says in his book, everything, then you'll be a wonderful Jew. Wonderful. If all the Jews did according to the Rambam, his opinion, the world would be fixed up like that, no problem. Maimonides. So he wrote all the books, and he wrote also laws about the Holy Temple and the little details about the sacrifices and this is sacrifice. So it comes out that when you learn the book, the Maimonides, you're encompassing the whole entire Torah, especially learning the Rambam. Should call the Jewish people unite and learning the whole entire Torah, like we've expressed and even more, the unity of the Jewish people in the Torah by means of spreading out the ideas of Chassidut. Satim shebetorah she'al yada, the hidden part of the Torah, the soul of the Torah, that by means of this is unites and arouses the soul of the Jewish people to connect with the soul, the inside of God, and to bring it out. What's the inside of the Torah is godliness, the godliness of the Torah, right? The secrets of the Torah, the godliness of the Torah, the will of God in the Torah, the commandments. That's the inside of the Torah. What's the inside of the Jewish people? The Jewish soul, how the Jews are essentially different from everybody else. It's not a thing that's revealed. But to bring it out, we're chosen to be the educators of the world, to be public servants. And the inside of God is, why is God creating the world? The inside, the essence of the goodness of God. Right? So the inside of the idea of Chassidut is called the Torah of the Moshiach. The whole idea of the Moshiach is just to reveal everything that's concealed, all the good that's concealed. Ad the chutzah, to be revealed to the furthest places of away from holiness. Like especially now in our generation, and especially in the lower half of the world. The upper half of the world is where the Torah was given in Israel, and the lower half is in America and Canada, South America. And then there wasn't revealed a Matan Torah. The Torah wasn't given in the lower half. That now this is where the leader of our generation, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, decided to live, and from there spread out his teachings to the end of the world. And by means of spreading out the ideas of Chassidut in the world, which the Chassidut again talks about the soul of the Torah and the soul of the Jewish people and the inside of God. The soul of the Jewish people, namely the holiness of the Jewish people and the holiness of the Torah and the goodness of God to be expressed in the essence goodness of God, that should be spread out. That's in the yeshivas of Chabad. They spend like an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening, only learning about God. All they're learning is about God. Right? Different aspects of God, God creating the world, different aspects of the Torah, God and the Torah, God and the Jewish people, God's love of the Jewish people, but hours and hours learning about God. The spreading out of the well springs of Judaism, that the Rebbe said, is we've already spread out everywhere, but we can continue. Where did the Chassidut begin? The Baal Shem Tov had an experience one Rosh Hashanah when he was 27 years old or something. And he had an experience that he went in the upper chambers and he met with Moshiach. And he said, when are you going to come? And he said, it depends on your teachings. Spread them out all over the world. Spread your teachings out, and then Mashiach will come. Namely, what the people haven't knowing God, to understand that you should know personally God. Now, we have to put this in a big sort of, how to say, there's a word for a stipulation, a reminder, I don't know, a clause that you can't understand God. God is impossible to understand. Can't understand. But aspects of God you can understand. And it is a commandment to love God, which you cannot love God unless you understand something about God. And the more you understand, the more you can love God. And that's why Hasidut deals with the spiritual worlds and all these Kabbalistic things, not because to teach you Kabbalah and that you impress people, but to teach you the deeper aspects of God, so that you understand how great God is. God is not just limited to creating the physical. He creates the spiritual also. He creates the pre-spiritual worlds, and that's all just creations of God. You start to realize how immense and real and good that God is. And by means of that, by learning about this, is you immediately merit to that time when it says that the world will only want to know God. That's all the world will. Therefore, the Jewish people will be very wise and they'll know secret things according to the ability of humans, of humanity. Like it says, because the world will be filled with the awareness of God like water fills the ocean. And so should it be to us, that immediately, now, today, on this Shabbat, the Rebbe is speaking in 1991. Now, this week's Torah portion, Shalach, right here. The Rebbe is not saying, and soon it's going to be, and sure enough, all the Jewish people will return to the Lord. No, the Rebbe is saying, we've already done enough. It's on the Mashiach can come 1 second. And anyone that isn't aware of who they are, they'll become aware of who they are. They'll become of how good they are, how good the world is. People will become aware of their soul, how much God loves them. And will return that love, will reflect that love. So the Rebbe said that can happen in 1 second. Like it says that they got the news that they were going to go into the land of Israel. Right? They got punished, but they're going to go in. And the end of the story is towards the Haftorah, with Joshua sending in the scouts, said, God has put it into our hands, the whole land of Israel. And also all of the enemies, their hearts are melting from fear in front of you. This is especially every single now, including these last moments of exile that we were in. The Rebbe said this 30 years ago, 34 years ago. So if it was supposed to be back then, for sure it's going to be now. I mean, the bus is late. If it's 1 hour late, it's 2 hours. It doesn't mean the bus is not going to come. It means it's just really late. There's something really is, it's unexplainable. The whole world, it's like waking a person up, right? A person there's these stories about people that were in a coma for like 20 years. All of a sudden they wake up and they say, is my coffee ready yet? Right? Did the bus come yet? Where are they? You hit your head 25 years ago. Do you remember? You put coffee on the thing and you slipped and you fell. Yeah. Is the coffee 25 years? Are you right? The same thing the Jewish people. All of a sudden, you've been Mashiach's not. Can we go to the Holy Temple? You forgot you've been in exile for 2,000 years. I don't believe it. It'll be 1 second. It says that therefore all the Jews in the whole world will come to the land of Israel, but right now we have to not return, not to give away even 1 inch from the Holy Land to the non-Jews. Not 1 inch. Do not concede to any non-Jew. And all the Jewish people will all come to the land of Israel in a complete way, complete completion. It'll be not just the 7 lands that Joshua conquered, but the 10 lands that God promised to Abraham. They will willingly give them. So I guarantee you that if you gave the chance to the Iranian people that they would be part of the land of the government of Israel, they would take it. They would take it. 1 second, they would take it. If you would tell the people living in the Palestinians, if you want to call them that, there's no such thing, but the people living in Gaza, the Arabs living in Gaza, you can be Israeli citizens. They would do it in 1 second. They would do it in 1 second. They're afraid of the Hamas. The Hamas will kill them. All the nations surrounding Israel would gladly be under the rulership of Israel. If Israel was normal, I mean, the way it is now, it's not normal. They're not going according to the Torah, but they will in 1 second. If Bibi Netanyahu, all these people, they'll all wake up, all of them, including well, we've received all the 10 lands, including the land of the Keni and the Kenizi and the Kadmoni. That's what God promised to Abraham. That was Moab and Edom, and what is it? And Moab and Edom. I always forget the third one. Okay, Shenid Chalek the 13. Then we'll receive 13 tribes, the land of Israel itself. Boy, all the Jews will come to the land of Israel. They'll come to Jerusalem, Ira Kodesh, the holy city. Shalonit Chalkol is Jerusalem was never divided. All the Jews will come to the third temple, and there they will make sacrifices, Thanksgiving sacrifices, because all the Jewish people went out of the prison of exile, the prison of their own minds. V'nisachim ayayin, they'll pour wine libations with kol klisha. That's also mentioned in this week's Torah portion. And all of the musical instruments in the Holy Temple. And there'll be a new song, the new song of redemption. There will not be any exile after it. Then we'll learn a new Torah. What does it mean, a new Torah? We'll feel the godliness of the Torah, just like we'll feel the godliness of the world, in a way that people won't have to teach one another anymore. They will Jews will automatically know me. And even more, and this is the main thing, that this will be done actually and immediately. So it's the idea of coming of the Mashiach is so unusual and so unique that it won't take time. It's a thing that's not bound by any of the laws of nature. It's also not bound by any logical conceptions. It's never been such a thing before, except Moses taking the Jews out of Egypt. It was as big a surprise to the Jews going out of Egypt as the Mashiach will be now, and it's going to happen. In fact, Mashiach is going to be a bigger surprise to the Jews. It's something we never expected, how good it's going to be. At least in the time when the Jews were in Egypt, there was such a thing as being free. There were people that lived outside of Egypt. There was such a thing. But everyone being totally free from the, selfishness and exile, we have no example. Almost. We have tzaddikim. We have the Lubavitcher Rebbe. We have the Baba Sali. There's other tzaddikim, genuine tzaddikim, that they really are out. It says Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was really out of the exile. They were totally out. So they're an example that not only is it possible or probable, but necessary, and it certainly is going to happen. Immediately, take it from Yad Mamash, immediately will be revealed that every single Jew is holy of holies, and every single human being in the world is beloved by the creator of the universe. Okay, that's today's lesson. 1 minute.